3.9 GST settlement and GST refund. This is sort of like a complicated topic, so I want your full attention. Okay. Now, as the business, you know that when you're selling inventory to customer, the customer would have to pay you both the selling price of that inventory and also pay the tax on top of that, which is the GST, right? So customer paying you both sales and GST clearing. All right? And probably you already have this knowledge from real life. When we receive the tax, you know that the tax belongs to the government, right? So when we are holding on, the business is holding on this tax from the government, we are actually owing the government. So in that case, we can see GST clearing as a liability, because we are owing the government, right? At the same time, when the business is purchasing inventory or anything from the supplier, we also have to pay the selling price as well as the tax for that one, right? So business, when they are buying inventory from the supplier, they have to pay for the selling price of the inventory as well as the GST on top of that, right, to the supplier. All right. As you can see, we have to pay tax, and eventually we also have to pay this tax, meaning we are being double taxed. That will be too much for a business. So what the government says, I'm trying to simplify it. What you can say, or what you can think of it as, the government says you are being double taxed, and that's not fair. Whatever you do, you are getting taxed. Unfair. So the government decides to only take back the tax that you make from sales, but they will give you back the tax in purchases. Either it's credit or cash. If you make a purchase, we will give you back the tax for that. So the government will give you back the tax in the future. What does that sound like? It sounds very similar to accounts receivable, right? And what is the classification of accounts receivable? Asset, current asset. And therefore, you can also see this GST clearing as assets. Okay? So think about it. What if you make $40? You receive $40 of tax from the customer. You receive $40 of tax from the customer. This $40 is this $40. Are you owing the government, or is the government owing you? This $40 receiving from the customers, are you as the business owing the government this $40, or the government is owing you? The answer is the business is owing the government $40 receiving from customers. At the same time, you might make a purchase and you have to pay $50 right, on this purchase. You're purchasing some inventory, and the tax you have to pay on top of that purchase is $50. In this case, this $50 of tax, is the government owing us, or are we owing the government again? The government is owing us. They said they will give us back the tax on whatever purchase we are making as the business. So they will pay us back. And they haven't. Therefore, this one, the government is owing us, the business. Okay? So when, as you can see, we owe the government $40, the government is owing us 50. So in total, who is owing who? In total, the government is owing us 10 bucks. Right? Because the business is owing the government 40, the government is owing us 40 plus 10. So this debt would be, right? So this debt would be even out by the 40, and therefore the government is still owing us $10. Okay? So imagine we are having 2 accounting periods. And at the end of this period, we found out that the government is owing us $10 and they haven't paid, right? Then next semester, next accounting period, they pay. Government pays, right? Then this payment is called GST refund. Okay, because we owe the government less than the government owing us. So instead of taking more tax from us, the government is paying back $10. That's why it's called GST refund. And the opposite way of that, imagine we are, if we simply reverse the figure, we owe the government 50 and the government is owing us 40. Then instead of the government paying us back $10, we actually have to pay the government $10 more. Alright? Because it's 50, 40, 50, 40 and 10. Alright? So it's the other way around. So again, if we do have 2 accounting period here, and at the end of this financial report, we found out that the business owing the government of $10, right? Then on the next day, next accounting period, we make the payment. This is business pays. Right? This is government pays, that is called GST refund. If the business has to pay the $10 that we still owe the government, it's called GST settlement. Okay? So they are sort of the same in nature, it's just who is owing who more. Okay? Just like that. That's just the settlement and just the refund. Now that you understand GST refund is when the business paying the GST, not the business, the government is paying the GST that they owed to the business. Right? So government paying back the money to the business. Right? What's the account that represents the government? It's the GST clearing. right? Because it's tax, it represents the government. And when the government pays us in cash and send it to the business, what account will be affected? Where's this money going into? The cash and bank. Again, which one will be debit? Which one will be credit? Cash is going into this account, this one will be debit, and this one will be credit. And therefore, the general journal entries would be cash at bank, debit, and GST clearing, credit. And GST settlement would be exactly the same, but on reverse. So instead of explaining what GST settlement is about, we just reverse this one. You will have GST clearing on debit and cash at bank going out credit, because we is the business is paying the cash to the government that we still owe the tax for.